Hello again. In my last video, I was talking about going down a grassy forest path on my way, possibly, to Mordor. And, well, the great news is I didn't actually get there. Haha. Instead, I wrote a book. It's quite a short book, and it basically distills a lot of the ideas that I've been putting into these videos. And it really goes back to about 2012, when I first started to consider the possibility that I might write something. I mean, my last book was 20 years ago, and I kind of found I wasn't ever going to write another book. I'd been there, I'd done it, and after that came my Pathways to Philosophy program, and I wrote 6 books for that, which I talked about in one of my videos, Philosophical Pathways. And I guess I had something that was trying to express itself, something about what it is to be doing philosophy, and in particular, what it is to be gripped by the idea of metaphysics. And in numerous places in the book, I talk about the elephant in the room. And I talk about the question of what is. And I guess like 90 to 95% of people will never get the point of that question. Because for them, the only question is, what is? You know, what is showing at the cinema tonight? What is the latest result from, the American primaries, etc.? But what is asking something totally different. It's asking about the thing you don't see because it's already always there. The elephant in the room. It's the thing that everything in the universe is, whatever that is. And my question, I raised this question in my book, was, is there something that it is? Is there something you can say about what it is? Maybe there is something that it is, but we just can't say anything. And this is the conclusion Wittgenstein came to in the Tractatus Logico Philosophicus. I think the grand name was partly because it was suggested to him, but it was like he was bringing an end to a complete tradition in philosophy. It was the end of everything. It was the end of all this metaphysical wrangling because, according to Wittgenstein, the only thing you can say is what is. The world is all that is the case. That's it. And as soon as you try to say something else, you're talking nonsense. Your words have no meaning. And this idea was developed by the logical positivists, although they kind of missed Wittgenstein's point. And they started going on about verification, etc., which wasn't the main point. The main point was, it's impossible to make a metaphysical statement. Well, anyway, I go into that in the book, but it takes quite a while to get there because I'm more interested in how I got there. Because my big question is, how did I get to be doing this? Why am I one of the 5% or whatever it is, people who feel this to be a question? And I'm hoping that maybe some of the viewers of this video or these videos, or maybe some of the people who read my book, will get a sense of that. It doesn't obey the usual conventions of a philosophy book or any book for that matter. It's got bits of poetry in it, if you can believe that. It's quite, what can I say, unrestrained. I'm just saying what I think. And some people will like it, some people won't. Anyway, I made a website. The book is in beta stage at the moment, which means it's written, and I've got people reading it and going to come back with their comments. And when the final version is done, I will be publishing it, probably on Kindle and CreateSpace, something like that. I want to self-publish. I'm hoping this will be just the first of several books. It's maybe, I mean, I don't really go into what is in this book that much. It's just the last third or the last quarter, but maybe a book on that and some other things as well. Anyway, what I'm going to do in these videos is read chapters of the book. I mean, I may end up reading all of them. There's 36 chapters, and they're each of them very short. Something like 800 to 12 or 1400 words each. So the book is only like 40,000 words, which is a short book. So you could quite easily save yourself the bother of buying the book just by watching the videos. But you can also get the complete beta version just by sending me an email. And I'm interested in anybody's view about, what I've written. Does it work? Do I succeed in getting the point across? Is it just mad? I have my days when I look at it and I think this is just mad. This is just nuts. Self-doubt. I even talk about self-doubt. There's a chapter on that. Well, not self-doubt, but I talk about you blink and you wake up. You're engrossed in a project and it's so meaningful and you're working really hard on it. And then suddenly you blink and you wake up and you think, what the hell was I doing? So I talk about that as well. But this chapter is actually chapter 7. And it kind of explains who I am, where I am. I used to call myself a sophist because I made my living outside the academy. Students paid me to do courses. And for a while I thought, yes, well, that's what I am. I'm a sophist who loves philosophy. But now now that I've retired from actually tutoring students, although I still run Pathways to Philosophy, I'm now trying to be a philosopher again. And this is my take on philosophy. Why am I here? A young man posted a witty comment on a YouTube video I'd made with that title. I came here out of boredom. You can't be too careful with the titles you choose for YouTube videos. It made me laugh. Boredom is an interesting concept, I replied, playing it straight. It makes you aware of your own existence, painfully so. Boredom is so much more revealing than existential angst, don't you think? That shut him up. Boredom. I have spent years and decades being bored by everything this wide world has to offer, happily or unhappily enduring every variety of boredom. One thing that doesn't bore me is the question of what it means to exist, but more on that later. By the time he or she is old enough to read, a human being has suffered a colossal weight of cultural brainwashing, sufficient to render one incapable of anything more than superficial reflection on the nature of existence. And yet, over the centuries, examples of rare individuals have appeared who are able to break free. Their work provides the essential toolkit for every would-be questioner. It is difficult to value that history too highly, and yet at the same time I feel choked by the dust of centuries, crushed by the weight of all those worthy treatises. Maybe it is just the sense one has at a particular point in one's life that the only way to approach the task is to forget everything one has learned and start again. I guess that is one reason why I am writing this. I am doing this for myself. I need to understand what has brought me to this point in my life. Who were those rare individuals I just mentioned? What was it that they did? Let's not use the word for that thing yet, even though you know what it is. For there is another problem. Is it really possible to do this? That's my question. Is there really any room for a different take? Radically different, not just some minor inflection or some newfangled terminology on the nature of that thing? Hasn't every move and countermove already been tried? 2,500 years of history are bearing down, not to mention armies of professors with tenures to protect, plus an even greater number of teachers still chasing that accolade from the academy. Also not to mention the publishing companies who rely on back catalogues going back decades. Everybody knows or assumes that they know what it is to be someone who does that thing. The word, of course, is philosopher. What a philosopher does is philosophize. The product of philosophizing is called, no surprises there, philosophy. What do those terms mean? Virtually nothing. Zilch. I am someone who loves wisdom. Well, yeah. The word started out as a political label, like liberal democrat or national socialist. The first philosophers, so called, or rather so they called themselves, that was the whole point, were perceived as secretive, subversive, potential threats to the political status quo. The primary aim of these unemployed teachers and book writers was to corrupt the young, that is to say, show those willing to listen ways of questioning the accepted beliefs of the day. That made them a soft target. The word philosopher was invented as a means of self-defense. Don't hurt us. You love wisdom, don't you? One such philosopher, Socrates, was put to death on charges, questioning accepted beliefs, corrupting the young, that could have been levelled at any of his contemporaries. Socrates' fatal error was to pick a fight with the Sophists, figures like Gorgias, Protagoras, Thrasymachus, experts in argument and debate who you could hire to improve your skills. You wouldn't think there was anything wrong with that, but in Plato's dialogues the Sophists are depicted as holding views intolerable to any genuine lover of wisdom. The Sophists also made lots of money. Gorgias had a statue of himself cast in gold. Plato's depiction of Protagoras and his rich followers in the dialogue Protagoras reeks with suppressed envy. Yet these were the best friends the philosophers had. You could hardly slip a fragment of papyrus between the philosophers and the performance coaches who followed their activities with keen, admiring interest. With the foundation of the academy, Plato effectively put an end to that historical collaboration. Today, academic philosophy is mired in a new age of scholasticism. In the university tower blocks, professors of physics or psychology, history or English, are baffled by what it is their philosophy colleagues do. They might as well be speaking a different language. Once you've learned the labyrinthine rules of the game, it all makes perfect sense. By that time, you're probably in the final year of your doctoral program, hoping to get your foot on the first rung of the ladder of academic recognition. And so the circus goes on. What a waste of talent. I believe it is possible to talk about the deepest problems of philosophy without mystification or gobbledygook. There is a way to do it. However, one has to be creative. Think of this as brain surgery, only one is doing it with words. Human beings are born lacking a filter to protect them from the conditioning they will receive over the most vulnerable years of their lives. The task is to construct an artificial filter, reprogram and reboot the brain. Once that's been fixed, you're a philosopher and you're good to go. Well, yeah, that's it. So, if you watch these videos, or read my book, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to operate on your brain and then reboot it, and then you'll be better than you were before. Or if not, if that doesn't happen, at least you'll be hopefully entertained. That's all for today. Thank you.